Pizza
and Co.
Welcome to Second-Hand Haunting, where we read ghost stories out of a second-hand book I found in a second-hand shop and try and make sense of them.
Fun of them.
Sense of them?
Fun of them. Fun of them. I took a sufficiently large gulp of red wine then during the
perfect
intro.
time.
Yeah. I think it goes with the image because, you know, we've got the image of me drinking red wine, or together. Are we both drinking red wine now, Logan?
I think it's just you now
just
that I
me.
think about it.
You're the pious reader and I'm the drunk in the corner.
I'm the absolute sober skeptic and you are Ollie Holmes.
The drunk eccentric. So true to life, if you could only see us. Well,
Ollie, I think we've had a rather exciting several weeks with slightly non-standard formats.
We have.
Would you like to get back to some basics?
I think going back to our baseline gives us a good springboard to other great things in the future. So let's clean the palate.
I like it. Well, I have dipped into the good old well of true Irish ghost stories by John Seymour and Harry Neligan. Do you recall what this book was about? Because it's been a while.
I don't. Can you give me a bit of a refresher?
I sure can. This is the one where in the late 1800s, early 1900s, John Seymour, the lawyer, was on a case. And he realised that during his case, he needed to refer to, for some reason, ghost stories in Ireland. And he realised that no one had ever written them down. Mm-hmm. So he put a call out in the newspaper saying, hey, everyone, just send me your Irish ghost stories, please. And this book is a compilation of all the guff he got in return.
Oh, right. I think I recall now.
Yeah.
It feels so lazy. He just outsourced all the work.
Well, I think he was attempting to put together like a legal precedent of like suing a dead person's estate for something. But it turns out that the people of Ireland just have a bunch of weird and wacky stories from personal and ancestral experience.
It does remind me, though, I feel like we have had books where they've gone out and like interviewed people and written down the stories, whereas in this book, he actually just gets the stories sent in.
This is the public mainlining.
And it just reminded me, I often hear stories of people getting successful through like hard work and perseverance. And then sometimes I hear stories about someone that just found some random loophole and made something based on that and was able to make a fortune out of. I feel like this is a random loophole.
Yeah. Well, welcome to capitalism, I suppose.
Why write or research the stories myself?
When I can just ask the public.
Surely, I'm going to assume that he went through a whole bunch of letters and found what he thought was the most interesting one. So, I'm sure he did some stuff.
He certainly went through a bunch of letters and just printed them all.
This is like every single letter he received in the one book. Do you think it would, like, if there was any more, it would just be a bigger book?
Yes, I do, very much so. As evidenced by the fact that this is the second volume, because after the first one, more people wrote in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that if you heard the first volume, you would be tempted to write something in that you've made up because you just wanted to see your work out there?
What an incisive question.
I'm just curious. Do you think there would be people out there that would be just so enamored with wanting to see their own words written in a book that they could then show somebody else that they would potentially... like, shocking as it may be. Fortunately.
There is some guy out there who's nudging his wife like, hey, Aaron, come and check this out. This guy's just printing any old guff. Let's write in, shall we? We'll get our names in the front of the book.
I tell you, I would like to go to Ireland at some point in my life. I think it would be great.
Why go to Ireland when Ireland can come to you tonight for the low price of... listening to this podcast.
I was going to say free, right?
Yeah.
The low price of zero.
Mr. Joseph McCrossan, a journalist on the staff of the Strabane Chronicle, has sent us a cutting from that paper describing a ghost which appeared to men working in an engine house at Strabane Railway Station on 2 successive nights in October 1913. Which I think means this will be from the 2nd edition.
Okay.
You know what? Let me double check that.
Do you think fruit flies like wine?
Yes.
There's
not one floating in mine, is there?
No. I just like, they get tricked. They get tricked into this delicious fruity drink.
If 'twas fruitylexia, then...
It would make you sexier.
Oh, Christ. Oh, God.
Well, that's the classic old tale. The tale of fruity elixir.
Just because it rhymes doesn't make it true. We learnt that last week.
I genuinely think it probably does. But I don't think anyone should try this.
I have, in fact, confirmed that this would have been the 1st edition of the book.
Okay.
So this is just when he sent a word out to all of the newspapers around the place. One of the newspaper men was like, oh, shit, I've got one. The article depicts very graphically the antics of a ghost and the fear of the men who saw it. Mr. McCrossan interviewed one of these men, Pinkerton by name.
Pinkerton by nature.
Hopefully not Pinkerton by employer. And the story as told in his words is as follows. Michael Madden, Fred Oliphant, and I were engaged inside a shed, cleaning engines, when at 12:30, midnight, a knocking came to all the doors, and continued without interruption, accompanied by unearthly yells. The 3 of us went to one of the doors and saw, I could swear to it without doubt, the form of a man of heavy build. I thought I was about to faint. My hair stood high on my head. We all squealed for help when the watchman and the signalman came fast to our aid. I mean, now I know what a watchman is. I guess a signalman is on the railways? So the engines that they're cleaning would be train engines?
Mm-hmm. That sounds reasonable.
Armed with a crowbar, the signalman made a dash at the spirit, but was unable to strike down the ghost, which hovered about our shed till 2:30. Are you keeping track of how long this ghost has been floating about their shed?
Several hours?
Yeah, 2 hours. Normally ghosts appear for somewhere between 2 seconds and 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, some ghosts like to linger.
For 2 whole hours?
I guess it depends on the apparition's appearance.
How so?
What's the apparition's appearance?
I don't know, you said it.
No, I mean, so what
you
the
mean,
ghost
I
looks
see.
like.
You mean because he's a big, heavy built ghost, he's got more power to hang around longer?
No, I didn't mean that. I guess I was wondering about, like how long do you sit with a ghost before you, ask some questions or...
2 hours, apparently.
So I just sat there, I stared at this ghost for 2 hours.
God, blimey, that's weird.
That is weird, yeah. I mean, it's weird for then to have no action in that time,
Is the signalman just running after it with a crowbar for 2 hours trying to swat it like a fly? I've put up with mosquitoes for considerably less than 2 hours.
Well, most spirits aren't trying to bite you, are they?
I hope not. I don't know
Some spirits like to give you a bit of a nibble,
moving away.
Get a bit of that ectoplasm.
No.
So they have actually been chasing...
Well, yeah, one of them's attacking the ghost with a crowbar.
For 2 hours.
I mean, I'm reading into that, but...
I'm just saying, man, I'd get tired.
Yes. Maybe they're taking it in turns.
Beating that air with a crowbar.
I do not appreciate the gesture you just made. It was moonlight, and we saw it plainly. There was no imagination on our part. We 3 cleaners climbed up the engine and hid on the roof of the engine, lying there till morning at our wits' end. The next night, it came at 1:30. So do you think it was early last time or late this time?
Who's to know? What clock does this ghost chime by?
Did Ireland do daylight savings back then? I don't know. Would daylight savings have changed around October? It would have.
I don't know, but it's coming up in 3 days for us.
Oh, it is too. Ugh. Oliphant approached the spirit within 2 yards. It's about 2 meters. But he then collapsed, the ghost uttering terrible yells. That didn't sound anywhere near terrible enough. That sounded way too... Well, not terrible.
Do you want me to go for
I was terrified you were going to go for a third time then.
That's how I get you.
Have you watched enough Supernatural to be introduced to Bobby yet?
Come on, this isn't second-hand Supernatural.
No, okay, fine. You just look a lot like him right now.
It's the first time I got to say it, actually. Normally, I'm the one that goes off on a big tangent.
It feels good, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Vindicated.
I commenced work, but the spirit gazed into my face, and I fell forward against the engine. Alright, so a lot happened there.
Yeah, he fell face first in the engine. Hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, that was the last thing to happen, but the ghost appeared, and he just thought, at this point, I guess he's sick of this ghost, well, I'm just going to keep working, until the ghost came up to him and looked him directly in the face. At which point he fell over into an engine.
Not very stout of character, are they?
No, well, they are working at, 1 a.m, which indicates that they've been working either a very, very long time, or they're shift workers, and they're never reliable. Sorry, Uncle Graham. 7 of us saw the ghost this time. Our clothes and everything in the shed were tossed and thrown about. Now, it doesn't say that the ghost is throwing the things about, but I think we can assume.
Oh yeah, full poltergeist.
Unless it's like when a bat gets inside and you start throwing stuff at it.
Or that. Yeah.
The other engine cleaners were interviewed and corroborated Pinkerton's account. One of them stated that he saw the ghost run up and down a ladder leading to a water tank and disappear into it. The sentence continues, but if you want to interject, you can.
Oh, no. I mean, it was funny when you were talking about throwing things at a random bat. Yeah. It just made me think that if I ever had kids...
Where is this going?
I think that I'd really want them to go hiking and camping, and I try and make them outdoorsy.
Oh, okay.
Because I always see people that didn't grow up, they grew up without a bit of camping or hiking or something like that. Whenever a bird flies into the house, they're terrified. It's the nature is coming to get me. It's no, it's just a bird. It'll figure its way out, or we can shoo it. Or it's not dangerous. It's fine.
I mean, it has flown into a window and concussed itself. It needs some help.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm a bit on the extreme spectrum. If a snake gets into the house, I'm whoa, fun.
Okay. What do you do when a bat comes into the house then?
Towel, actually, would probably be
Towel?
good. Yeah. If you found a bat, the first thing I'd do is get a towel, because a towel is always good for random wildlife. It means you don't necessarily have to touch them, so you might get some of your own germs or whatever on the actual animal, and then it's gentler for them. Yeah. Bats might be potentially harder to get out than birds, because birds will, come in the daytime, they might find their way out. With sonar and the bats, they might get a bit more confused. So I would go with a towel and try to be super calm with it, because any erratic behavior would actually row it up. Definitely don't throw stuff at it.
This has been second-hand animal control.
But if anyone thinks I'm wrong, please write in and tell me.
Email's in the description. Yes, so nothing to say about the ghost climbing up a ladder and then into a water tank? Normal ghost behavior.
Just wanted to swim.
Now, I
love to bathe. I'm glad it's being clean.
I'm no train engineer, but I don't think I want to be bathing in the train engine's water tank.
Well, at some point, especially when you've let go of this mortal coil, it doesn't really matter anymore,
Oh, do you think maybe that's where the ghost lost its life?
Oh,
it's replaying its death, climbing into the water tank.
That's a good theory. I like that.
Ooh. I don't think that's what's happening here.
Drowned in the water tank. He was stoutly. Couldn't get himself out.
Yeah.
Tragic.
Boiled alive.
Could do.
Again, I don't know how trains work. Never have, never will. Eric, email me.
Eric?
Yeah, he knows about trains.
Okay.
His son does anyway.
I'm pretty sure like steam goes into other parts of the train and then makes the wheels go around. That was basically
Yeah, that's about right.
that's a steam engine, right? That's it.
Yep.
Nailed it.
Where does the coal go? Somewhere.
No, like the coal goes into like a furnace that heats up the water that makes the steam that like goes into the engine and makes the wheels go around.
This is not second-hand train driving, though right now I kind of wish it was.
You're really getting me back for that now.
Yeah.
Cool, I got one in. You've already...
See, it's fair game now. So anyway, one of them stated that he saw the ghost run up and down a ladder, leading to a water tank and disappear into it, while the signalman described how he struck at the ghost with a crowbar. He's still trying. He's still trying the crowbar.
I find it fascinating that people would acknowledge that something is a ghost and try and hit it with a crowbar.
But the weapon seemed to go through it. Which I
Shocker.
think we know, don't we?
Shocker.
Oh, you know what? It could be a different signalman.
Okay.
It's a different day. Maybe it's a different guy's shift. He just so happened to also think, I'm going to hit that ghost with a crowbar.
It feels generous of you, but okay, I'm happy to go along with it.
The job of signalman attracts a very specific kind of person.
Yeah, someone that likes crowbars and swinging at ghosts.
When all you have is a crowbar, everything looks like a...
Ghost?
Sure. The spirit finally took his departure through... Would you like to guess?
Like after having a swim?
Yeah, after having a swim, how did the ghost leave the building?
Through the roof.
Through the window.
So close.
Hmm.
Obviously without the window opening.
Maybe, maybe not. The first visit, I have more doubts about, but the second visit just seems like someone wanted to go for a swim.
I feel like if I was going to piece this together from the start of the story, and Lord knows I really jumped on that making fun part of this episode.
The point of the podcast.
The point of the podcast, yeah. But I was trying to piece together the story in my mind again. You know, it could have been some random Sally dude that is apparently very good at dodging crowbars.
That's true. He did get attacked on 2 successive nights with a crowbar and seemed to just go through him.
Can swim in... Well, I mean, it wasn't boiling water, was it? Like, were we...
No, probably not. If they're cleaning the engine, I'm going to guess that the burner is not going. The water is not boiling.
Yeah.
But it's a strange place for a swim.
Yeah. I'd like to know how big the room is, you know? Because, like, I guess, like
It's big enough to house a train.
Well, this is what I'm thinking,
big
right?
room, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm wondering about, like, the proximity to the person and, yeah.
You just think that crowbar was not as long as he thought it was.
I'm just wondering whether or not we could allow for a random person or it had to be a ghost. At the very least, we know that if it was a ghost, it was very visible. Like, they were clearly seeing a person.
Up to 7 whole people saw it.
Really? So we've got confirmed sighting.
Sure.
It would definitely be erratic behaviour, so it's not replaying events. Like you did speculate, but I was thinking...
It doesn't seem like a replay because the ghost is doing some...
Doesn't seem like
behaviour.
a replay because there is sort of some erratic behaviour between the different nights doing different
And it's
things.
interacting with people too.
Yeah.
It's like looking them in the eyes, like, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. So it doesn't seem like a memory or a replay of events. It definitely seems like an entity.
Sounds like 7 guys got drunk on the job.
Well, that.
Yeah.
2 nights
I
in a row.
don't want to cast aspersions about the Irish and their work ethic, you know, but it doesn't look good for them, does it?
Yeah, I do hear they drink a lot. I heard that, like, if you go to a bar in Ireland and if you, like, ask for, like, a glass of water...
Oh, yes.
That, you know, it's looked down upon. I've heard that.
Okay. There are things that you should absolutely never order in an Irish pub, but water is probably fine.
Oh, no. Apparently, like, I heard that people will ask if there's something wrong with you. And if there's not something wrong with you, then they'll say, like, do you think you're better than me?
What What are you basing this on?
I saw like your YouTube or something.
Okay, sure. All right.
I heard a thing from a place. I don't know. I'm not saying it's true. I just say like I heard from some source somewhere.
On the whole, would you say it's more or less reliable than the account in this here book?
I would say both are the same. Wasn't a documentary. But we could say to some certainty that Ireland is a heavy drinking place, right? Like we could say.
No.
I just like we could say that about Australia. Like Australia is like a place where there's heavy drinking, right? Like.
Oh yeah, we're drinking right now.
Exactly. If you taxed alcohol in Australia like more than you already do, you would make a lot more money, right?
Yeah.
And unlike some other substance that if you tax heavily, people might stop using it, I have a sneaking suspicion that people would just keep paying for
Gasoline?
the booze. No, I was thinking about something else, but I'm not allowed to mention it on air.
Oh, yeah.
No, people will definitely pay for gasoline.
The details of this affair are very much on the lines of the good old-fashioned ghost yarns. But it is hard to see how so many men could labour under the same delusion. The suggestion that the whole thing was a practical joke may also be dismissed, for if the apparition had flesh and bones, the crowbar would have soon proved it. The story goes that a man was murdered near the spot some time ago. Whether there is any connection between this crime and the apparition, it would be hard to say. However, we are not concerned with explanations. The facts, as stated, have all the appearance of truth. The end.
The appearance of truth. This is a truth fact. There was a ghost.
I read this book so long ago, I've forgotten all of these stories. I just know which ones I've starred to read out. And
I'm a little bit surprised as to what they considered to be that truth.
I'm also not entirely sure who is saying what. So the guys in the shed told this story to the guy at their local paper, who then told the story to John Seymour and Harry Neligan. And I'm not sure which of those publishings is making the comment that we're not going to explain this, it seems real. I'm going to assume the local paper with no evidence at all.
At all.
Any thoughts upon this particular story?
I thought it was a great story. I do like trains, so that definitely was entertaining for me. Yeah,
How drunk would you have to be to attack a ghost with a crowbar? No, screw that. Attack anyone with a crowbar.
Not that drunk, no. Depends on how threatening they are, you know. I think in this particular case, I don't think I would attack a ghost with a crowbar. Like I wouldn't.
No.
I'd reach out.
Not.
I want to find out more about this ghost's life, you know.
Okay.
Like, can you not tell me that if we had a ghost that popped up in this room, clear as day, we'd not want to interview it?
I would pick up that guitar in the corner and start swinging.
Really?
Yes.
You'd go all like, well,
No, probably not.
Well, that's good because I really like those guitars. Well, personally, I would ask a question first. I mean, if it had actively tried to attack me, then I might try and defend myself. But although I feel like I would think I was up shit creek, like without a paddle, because
Well, if you had a paddle, you could fight back.
Maybe not, because it just goes straight through it. Imagine a ghost fight where, like, you know, you try and like hit it, and your hand goes through the ghost, and then it hits you, and it makes contact.
Okay,
that would be the
that's
worst.
different. That's different. I was just thinking, look, if I tried to attack a ghost and it went straight through it, I'd feel like, no, look, okay, we can't interact, so at least I'm not physically threatened by this thing. But you're positing that the ghost could still...
Well, I mean, it's all
defend
hypothetical, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all fake. But...
Definitely not fake.
But perhaps the next story this evening will feel a little more real, and we'll get to that one after the break. What do you reckon?
Look, I'm looking forward to it, as always.
Cool. All right, see you in a minute.
So, Callum,
Yes.
What's the next story?
Oh, you want another one?
I do want another one.
More?
Please, sir. Can I have
You
some?
want more? All right, it's a good thing I've earmarked one already then, hey?
Good thing my name is Oliver, huh?
Oh, shit! I didn't even think about that. How have I never thought about that? And you know what? If you're an avid listener, and I have in fact thought about that before on mic, send us an email. Links in the description.
It's quite funny, actually. Like, all my friends call me Ollie, but when I introduce myself at work, I introduce myself as Oliver, so everyone calls me Oliver at work, which is my name.
I get it.
But
I did tell people off for calling me a nickname at work the other day.
Cal?
Well, one person said Cal, the other said... Yeah, sorry, I should have waited until you stopped drinking for that one.
Jesus, that sounds more like bullying than a nickname.
It does a little bit, doesn't it? Now, to be fair, I had just... But still, that's not staying in. What is staying in is...
Are we capable of another story, Callum? You reckon we'll get through this? Get through this day?
Well, we were somehow last fortnight.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Loving this book. Loving these stories.
So this is another one from True Irish Ghost Stories. It's another one written in by some Irishman or woman to John Seymour and Harry Neligan because they asked for it, and boy did they. Now, there's no connection to the last one. We're skipping ahead a bunch. This is just another story that I have indicated to myself when I read it that, hey, this might be good. Oddly enough, it happens to originate from the same area as the last one, so take that as you will. The following story, which has been sent as a personal experience by Mr. William McKee of Strabane, is similar in many ways to an extraordinary case of retrocognitive vision which occurred some years ago to two English ladies who were paying a visit to Versailles and who published their adventures in a book entitled An Adventure, London 1911. Do you have any questions so far?
No.
Have you heard of the book An Adventure?
No.
Okay. So a brief recounting of An Adventure is two ladies in like 1910 went to the Palace of Versailles.
And they had an adventure.
Yes, they went wandering in the gardens for hours and at one point wandered into what they thought was a historical reenactment of people dressed in 17th century garb having a garden ball.
Did they go back in time?
And they wandered around for a few hours and then they left the party and they realised afterward that there had been no party at all. They must have slipped back in time to the 17th century.
Like what I just said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it reminded me of like A Midnight in Paris.
There's a reason that A Midnight in Paris was also set in France.
Right, because it was based off of an adventure.
Yeah.
I love the concept of the adventure. I do. Like the idea of a time slip.
Yeah. In the years since then, they've been roundly disproven.
Balderdash.
Yeah. Since, like, I think they described a bunch of things that happened. And at first it was like, oh yes, we've checked the historical record and this really did happen. Except it turns out that no, it really didn't. And things they mentioned were invented considerably later than the 1700s. And what had probably happened is they accidentally stumbled upon a bunch of historical reenactors while very drunk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So the adventure was like a true story.
Yeah. They wrote a book about their
Actual
slip back into time and called it An Adventure.
I thought it was sci-fi. That's so funny.
No. So, I suppose steel yourself for what might be happening in this story tonight.
A time slip.
Perhaps. Mr. Mackey writes, it was during a severe winter of the Crimean War. I did look that up. That is winter 1854.
Good to know.
When indulging in my favourite sport of wildfowl shooting, that I witnessed the following strange scene.
Love that that's a sport.
Doesn't feel very sporting, does it?
Well, maybe not for the fowl.
Sounds like dinner. Although, if he's calling it a sport and he's hunting wildfowl, I think he's rich, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, most of the people. Actually, I guess maybe there might be a chance for this particular book to have less incredibly wealthy people because there's random stories being sent in.
Indeed, this is winter 1854. This is really, really in the bad years for Ireland. The surname of Mackey does make me think that perhaps this man is Irish, but there were a few Irish people who really took advantage of the English occupation and...
The English occupation?
Of Ireland, yes.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you know the whole potato famine thing?
No, of course.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a famine, was it?
No, there was plenty of food, but the English took it all.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
Good to remember. Yeah. We shouldn't really call it a famine. We should call it a steal.
Yes. Well, yes.
The great food steal.
From Ireland's perspective, it was the great English food steal.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. No, it's funny. When you said occupation, I thought of like job. I was like, what?
No.
But then it occurs to me you meant occupation as in occupying.
That's the one. It was a bitterly cold night toward the end of November, or beginning of December. The silvery moon had sunk in the west shortly before midnight. The sport had been all that could be desired when I began to realize that the blood was frozen in my veins, and I was on the point of starting for home when my attention was drawn to the barking of a dog close by, which was followed in a few seconds by the loud report of a musket, the echo of which scarcely died away in the silent night when several musket shots went off in quick succession. This seemed to be the signal for a regular fusillade of musketry, and it was... I'm just trying to get through the longest sentence of my life. And it was quite evident from the nature of the firing that there was an attack and defence. Look, I normally rag on the professional authors for their absolute abuse of commas and semicolons, so I don't want to be too mad at William Mackey here. But he needs to introduce some goddamn full stops.
He needs some punctuation?
He does. Well, he's got punctuation.
Oh.
He's got it coming out of his ears.
I was going to say, punctuation in abundance, huh?
Mm-hmm. For the life of me, I could not understand what it all meant. Not being superstitious, I did not for the moment imagine it was supernatural, notwithstanding that my courageous dog was crouching in abject terror between my legs. Beads of perspiration began to trickle from my forehead when suddenly there arose a flame as if a house were on fire. But I knew from the position of the blaze, which was only a few hundred yards from where I stood, that there was no house there, or any combustible that would burn, and what perplexed me most was to see pieces of burning thatch and timber sparks fall hissing into the water at my feet.
Begone, thy Satan!
Oh, begone my breath!
Well done. Well done, good sir.
I'm terribly worried that he's not going to start using full stops any more than he has been.
I love when people like use full stops to just like punctuate points and do it quickly, like short sentences with full stops.
Mm-hmm. I love that too.
I mean,
when I'm reading it aloud.
I meant more in a comedy-like way, when there's like tiny little sentences.
It was not very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that the English language would look quite foolish to a non-English speaker.
I think it looks quite foolish to an English speaker.
Yeah.
Did you know there didn't used to be punctuation? No, that's not true. Did you know there was a guy...
I am positive that at some point in history there was not punctuation.
Did you know?
We brought the carving and clay tablets.
Yeah, that's very
Full
true.
stop.
But after punctuation was absolutely invented and codified, there was a guy who wrote a book, I guess considerably like this, where all of the literary criticism he got was like, this guy does not put any punctuation in, where it was just whole paragraphs were one sentence. And in the second edition of the book, he got so mad at all of his critics that he just put pages of like full stops and commas and stuff at the end of the book and said, look, if you want to use punctuation, here it is. You go put it in yourself.
I loved when the world was more erratic.
Is it stable now?
Yeah, in terms of punctuation.
Fair. Yeah. Go look at one of Trump's tweets today, though, and tell me that you agree with the use of punctuation.
All I can say is...
I haven't looked at a Trump tweet in a long time. I don't know. He could have improved.
All I can say is that I don't think that this show is a good place as a political forum.
Good point. This is not secondhand US politics.
Exactly. So I think that we should not do that.
This is secondhand haunting, where we should probably try and recap what that particular sentence meant.
I know this feels like it's unlike me to say this, but given the traumatic turmoil that we see around the world, I think it would be better not to comment. That seems like the safest option.
I think that's probably a very good call.
It's what I hear anyway.
So I shall challenge you then to describe what just happened.
So, I feel like I want to give like a drunk explanation of it.
Go for it. If any show is adjacent to drunk history, it's this.
Yeah, it's like a drunk history, but like a drunk secondhand haunting accounting.
Drunk made-ups.
Drunk made-ups.
Which is different from drunk make-outs.
Which is just a good time. So it was like this guy, like he was like walking along, and he had like one of those big elephant guns, the ones that like aristocracy used to have.
He didn't say that, but I think that is absolutely true.
I inferred it.
Oh no, he's out there shooting shooting grouse and pheasants.
Just wants to blow away. Like in my mind, he just wants to blow away these fowl with this big elephant gun and just like, destroy these birds.
Yes.
Which he says is sport. Which doesn't seem like a sport, but he says it's a sport.
Yes, so you have accurately summarised the first sentence of this story.
So then he
How about the second?
So then he fires at one of these fowl, and then he hears like an echo of the gun, and he thinks that it's him, like hearing the echo, but then he hears it again, and then he hears it like a lot, and there's like a whole bunch of firing. And then
none of this at all sounds like
a burning angel appears to him in a bush.
No. I don't think we could say it's an angel.
So a burning bush.
He can see a burning off away behind some bushes.
I feel like you're butting into my story.
This is second-hand haunting, not second-hand drunk Bible stories.
And he tells him to live a better life, but then it turns out he's like actually the devil, and then he just tells him to live a worse life. So that's my story.
Okay, so to summarise the story that's actually on the page, the first half of that was about right. Kind of.
Something was burning. It was a bush, it was a house, it was a fire. Wow. I mean, he saw flames, and he saw like things coming off the flames. Like surely he saw flames adjacent to...
He saw some flames off behind some bushes.
Okay. Burning bush.
And the things that were... No.
What? Are you telling me that he saw bush flames and a bush, but it wasn't a burning bush?
There's a burning house behind some bushes.
I said house.
But he can't see the house. He's inferring that it's a house because the things that are in the flame look an awful lot like what he sees when houses burn.
Right, but if he can infer a house, I can infer a house.
I don't know how he knows what a burning house looks like, but he's
an
a
angel
rich...
or a demon.
He's a rich Irishman in 1854. I think we can make some inferences of our own that don't include angels.
All right, but
probably do include the Catholic Church.
To be fair, you did ask me to summarize, and I was going to embellish. Like we all knew this was going to happen.
This is, for the record, listener, this is how ghost stories happen. One time...
That's probably very true, actually. Like, it starts off with, like, someone telling a regular story, and then some arsehole like me comes along.
Well, you heard it first here, folks, on episode 36 of Secondhand Haunting, that Ollie has realised that maybe some of these stories are a little bit tall and a little bit drunk, especially when they come from Ireland.
I think some are, obviously, and then some of the flat-out truth, right? Like, that's my narrative.
Well, William Mackey's narrative continues thusly. When the fire seemed at its height, the firing appeared to weaken. And when the clear sound of a bugle floated out on the midnight air, it suddenly ceased. And I could hear distinctly the sound of cavalry coming at a canter, their accoutrements jingling quite plainly on the frosty air. In a very short time they arrived at the scene of the fight. But basically you heard some horses arriving.
Gallop.
Canter.
Fine.
I thought it an eternity until they took their departure, which they did at the walk. I don't know what that means. Does that make any sense to you?
Who took their departure?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out too.
You started talking and I heard everything, but it was just so confusing.
It's not well written.
All right. I don't know
I see. No, I got it. So the sound of horses came in at a canter, so like quickly, not quite a gallop, but pretty quick.
Yep.
But then the horses left at a slow walk. That's what it means.
Sort of a gallop and then a canter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, a canter is sort of a gallop. They ran in and they walked away.
Okay. I always thought a canter was like a walk.
I think there's 4 stages of horse ambulation.
That's fair.
There's a walk, a trot, a canter, a gallop. Depends on how many feet are in touch with the ground at any one time.
Right. The more you know.
For a human, you've only got 2. But for a horse, there's 4. It gets way more complicated.
What do you call someone that's into horses? Like that rides horses?
I'm thinking of a few words right now. I'll go with an equestrian.
That's the one I was looking for, an equestrian, yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Hands?
So I'm not sure how you'll edit that all together, but you definitely did a really good job of explaining to me what had happened. Because I lost the plot a little bit, and you definitely got me back.
Halfway through that sentence, I realised I was explaining to myself what happened, and I was making way more sense than William McKay ever did.
I got lit. I don't know when that happened.
So did the house in the bushes. All right, ready for more?
I am.
It is needless to say that although the scene of this tumult was on my nearest way home, I did not venture that way, as although there are many people who would say that I never knew what fear was, I must confess on this occasion I was thoroughly frightened.
Terrified.
Trembling. Yes, dog. Spooked.
Spooked. Look, first of all, I love this story. And so far,
I feel like
it makes absolutely no sense.
if any of us have a catchphrase, it's I love this story.
I love this story.
First of all, I love this story.
Absolutely.
Oh, God.
I love so many of our stories. One of the most entertaining things about doing this podcast has been the stories.
I should hope so.
Well, I mean, hopefully us entertaining to a degree as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't like to have a big head about any of this stuff, but I do like highlighting what other people have said in the past. And then tearing them to pieces.
Okay. Anyway.
All right, well, I'm going to play another game here. What's happening now?
Well, he's afraid of the horses have left. Wait, if I missed something?
No, that's fine. In order to go home, he had to go through that scene. It was on his way home, and he decided, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go around it. Even though apparently everyone who knows him thinks he's so brave.
I thought he was going to click his heels together 3 times to go home. No.
Sorry, you're giving me flashbacks. I just watched Wicked Part 1 the other night.
Oh, is it 2 parts?
It is 2 parts.
Oh, I did not know that.
Beware. I was in an altered state, I'll say that, and I found quite some considerable enjoyment in it. And I'm not sure if it's the enjoyment that it intended.
Cryptic. So he decided to go home.
Yep.
But he decided to go around.
Yeah. Rather than go straight home through all this chaos, he just kind of went around it.
And people thought he was such a brave man.
I know. Shocking.
Full of vim and vigour.
At breakfast...
Would you go through?
Would I?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I would.
I don't know that I would be out on the moors shooting defenseless game birds until sundown.
That was a different time.
It was. All right, but if I was in that position, yeah, I would absolutely be avoiding that situation.
Straight through.
Because, think of it, this is 1854 Ireland. William is a wealthy man in 1854 Ireland.
Oh, fair enough, he's wealthy.
And he's hearing quite a commotion going on, and someone's decided to burn down a house. Probably doesn't want to accidentally get caught up in that, because there's a lot of people who would not miss him.
Okay, so I take it all back. I'd go around.
At breakfast, I got a good sound rating from my father for staying out so late. Oh, so he lives with his parents. My excuse was that I fell asleep and had a horrible dream, which I related, as in told to his father. Mm-hmm. When I finished, I was told that I had been dreaming with my eyes open. That I was...
Gross. That's creepy, right?
This is,
Would they dry out?
They would. What's that movie? Major Payne?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That I was not the first person who had witnessed this strange sight. Okay, so William said that he fell asleep and had a horrible dream about a burning house and some shootings and stuff. Mm-hmm. Which is reasonable to assume that maybe he dreamt that. Mm-hmm. But his father has said, no, other people have heard and seen this too.
Scary.
Yeah. He then told me the following narrative. Shall I do his father's voice?
Totally.
It was towards the end of the 17th century that a widow named Sally Mackay... Oh.
Another Mackay.
It is. And her 3 sons lived on the outskirts of the little settlement of the Mackays.
Extended family.
Yeah, I mean, they're clearly wealthy landowners. And
everyone's a Mackay.
Yeah.
Hard to find someone to date.
It's... A warrant was issued by the government against the 3 sons for high treason.
All 3?
All 3. That's a
Penalty
considerable...
by death.
Probably, yeah.
A penalty of death, not by death.
Not even death, like a horrible death.
Yeah, like when they do the thing with the horses.
Yeah.
When they rip you apart.
Draw and quarter them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, quarter them.
With the context here, this is probably the English government they're talking about.
Do you reckon that's just like 4 horses with each limb?
Yep.
And just see what happens?
That's it.
Yeah.
You got it.
That would be horrific.
Hung, drawn and quartered is hanging within an inch of your life, being drawn just across the road by 1 horse, and then being quartered by 4 horses.
Well, I learnt something new today.
Yeah.
Yay.
That may or may not be what their punishment is, but given this is the English government at the time, and these Mackays are probably freedom fighters for the Irish cause, I think it's fair to say what they would be on the receiving end of. Yeah. So a warrant was issued by the government against the 3 sons for high treason. The warrant being delivered for execution to the officer in command of the infantry regiment stationed at Lifford. A company was told off for the purpose of effecting the arrest, and the troops set out from Lifford at 11 p.m. Those are the exact words on the page. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing it just means that a company of soldiers were sent off to go find these 3 guys.
Yeah, absolutely. At 11 a.m.
11 p.m.
Late at night.
Yes.
I actually thought I got it wrong because I was like, oh, surely that would be midday, not like at the middle of the night.
No, the middle of the night, which is strange, isn't it?
It's
very odd, yeah. But it probably lines up with about when William here was still out on the moors shooting birds and trying to get home.
Well, gosh.
Yeah.
Well, gosh golly.
I assume that's the...
Oh, it's definitely. Yeah. Well, again, I'm holding my breath.
The cottage home of the Mackays was approached by a bridle path, which I did look up. It means it's a path that's been like worn out by horse tracks. So no carts or anything yet, just horses. Is that important? Probably not.
I think so. Given the noises that we heard.
Yes, good point.
Contrary to popular belief, I do listen from time to time.
Contrary to your own voiced opinions 5 minutes ago.
Sure.
So the cottage home of the Mackays was approached by a bridle path leading from the main road to Derry, which only permitted the military to approach in single file.
That was not a wife and the maids of honor, for the record.
Fuck.
Bridal party?
Yeah. I think in a wedding it's called an aisle.
Isn't that what you walk down?
Yeah. Well, you don't walk down a bridal path, do you?
Oh, it was a bridal path. I thought you said bridal party.
Oh, did I?
No, I thought you did. I think I misheard. I thought maybe like a bridal party was like a party of horses with bridles or something. Something silly like that.
The three Mackay brothers have kidnapped 3 English government daughters.
And they're off to get married.
Okay, so the military is approaching only in single file, right? Because there's a small little path that only horses can get through. They arrived there at midnight, and the first intimation the inmates had of danger was the barking, and then the shooting of the collie dog. Oh.
Poor pup.
Yeah.
I hate stories like that.
Yeah, sorry,
No, it's fine.
I don't remember these stories at all.
Sometimes it's so funny that like I'll hear this incredibly graphic murder story about like a human being being torn apart. I'll be like, oh yeah, and then they'll be like, and then the
dog didn't deserve.
Yeah,
this.
it's like then the dog gets shot, and I'm like, oh,
a baby wouldn't have either, but a dog.
So now we've introduced babies. If things weren't sad enough.
I think you've just generally described the history of Ireland. So now we've introduced babies. That's bad.
I got nothing for that.
That's not staying in.
I've got nothing there.
Now, the meaning of inmates doesn't necessarily mean that they are prisoners here.
Okay.
It just means that they are people who are in a thing.
Incarcerated.
No, just like we are inmates of this studio. Right? So inmate didn't always mean an incarcerated person. It just meant a person who was in a thing.
Really?
Yeah.
We
Generally people who knew each other, right?
We definitely don't use it like that now.
No, we don't. Yeah, and then the soldiers shot a dog. It's not great.
No.
But neither was the English occupation of Ireland. So, yeah.
All bad.
Yep. Shit all round.
Still occupying.
Yeah, correct. Possessing as they did several stand of arms, they opened fire on the soldiers as they came in view and killed and wounded several. I'm going to give you a second to take stock of what's happening there, because I just saw what happens next.
Okay.
But the 3 boys, 3 Mackays, are shooting these soldiers who are coming in single file.
Oh, sure, yeah. Bottlenecked them.
Exactly. Or was it? It was the mother, Sally Mackay, who did the shooting.
Haha.
The sons loading the muskets.
She was a crack shot.
Hell yeah. Gun mum.
Sounds like she was just a badass, you know? I'm not inclined to joke about her. I'm inclined to appreciate her marksmanship.
Yeah. Whether the cottage went on fire by accident or design was never known. It was only when the firing from the cottage ceased and the door was forced open that the officer in command rushed in and brought out the prostrate form of the lady, who was severely wounded and burned.
So they got her.
They got her. Yeah. She might not be dead, but I think we can say they got her.
Wounded.
All the sons perished, but the soldiers suffered severely, a good many being killed and wounded. So they gave as good as they got as a family.
Do you think she would have gotten a similar punishment?
Oh, do you think they would have hanged, drawn and quartered a mum? Yeah, this is the English we're talking about here. The firing was heard by the sentries at Lifford, and a troop of cavalry was dispatched to the scene of the conflict, but only arrived in time to see the heroine dragged from the burning cottage. Which I suppose does line up to what William Mackay was hearing, right? He heard some shooting. He heard some return shooting. He heard a lot more shooting. Then he saw a house on fire, which is what has happened here.
Mm-hmm.
She had not, however, been fatally wounded.
Just the boys.
And lived on for many years afterwards with a kinsman.
Oh, there you go. So she wasn't prosecuted.
Nope, not prosecuted, not killed, not wounded. Well, very wounded. Then just lived on with a male relative of hers.
Mm-hmm.
Kinsman doesn't say son, brother, father, uncle. I don't know.
I'm sure she would have mourned the loss of her sons.
Yeah.
But
and
to your
homeland.
point, it does sound like we're seeing a ghostly retale of a story.
Does a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it all coincides as a phantom memory of an event etched in time, replaying.
To a drunk son of a probably drunk father.
Similar to the chicken.
Chicken.
The headless chicken. Still one of my favourite stories, actually.
My father remembered... my father? Who's telling this story? So this might be William McKay's grandfather? I don't know when this story was then.
No, the grandfather of the person telling the story.
Well, we're kind of in a mini story within the greater story.
Meta.
We're within the story that William McKay's father was telling, and now it's being referred to his father.
Or his father's father. Or his father's father's father.
No, stop that. My father remembered conversing with old men when he was a boy, who remembered her well. She seemed to take delight in narrating incidents of the fight to those who came to visit her, and would always finish up by making them feel the pellets between the skin and her ribs. The end.
I thought it was a great story.
Oh, it is your catchphrase, isn't it?
I love that story. Love that story. It is my catchphrase. I know, I'm proud of it. It was a great story. I love that story. I think both can be your catchphrases, mine.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I will go down in the ages as a positive person. That has...
Okay, fair enough.
Well, what a time. So we could do an MVP and... Do we call it MVW?
An
valuable
MVP.
word?
MVP can be a most valuable person or poltergeist. And we also have the word award.
I'm not sure if we called it the most valuable poltergeist before. I love that though.
Have we not?
I thought that was great. Most valuable person or poltergeist.
Oh, okay.
No, I think it's great. I think that's great. You really made use of the P.
We should wrap up because I really need to make use of another P.
First of all, I'm going to ask you, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Out of the two stories, what would be your favourite?
Oh, of the two stories?
An MVS.
I couldn't.
You couldn't tell
I don't think I can judge one story from another.
Really?
Yeah. See, I read so many stories for this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm only reading out the cream of the crop, right? So anything I read out is automatically a 10. Which should give you some idea about all of the 9s, 8s, 6, 7s, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1s that I read.
And do not make it to the podcast.
Exactly. Yeah,
you do a lot of work for this podcast. I very much appreciate it.
So I could never judge one of these two over the other.
Okay, fair enough.
However,
I did prefer the second one personally. I think it was the burning bush of it all.
Okay, the burning bush is what got you over the line, wasn't it?
Okay, I feel like, and I can't remember her name, but I would be shocked and amazed if anyone thought that the MVP wouldn't have been the gun-toting mother.
Yeah, right. Sally McKay.
Sally McKay.
Sally McKay fucking rules.
I did forget her name, but my God, like definitely the MVP in my eyes. I had like 3 sons behind her, loading up her gun while she holds down the fort. Unfortunately, doesn't save her sons from their eventual fate. But the fact that she tries, and the fact that she kills and wounds other soldiers and yet still survives, so they let her live.
And then just goes to the local pub and is like, hey, feel these bullets that are stuck between my skin and my ribs.
I think that was the, positive
positive role model.
No, I was going to say positive gender discrimination at the time.
Oh.
Like, I'm wondering whether or not she got away with it because she was a woman and they didn't want to admit to it at the time.
Oh, you might be right there. To be perfectly honest, yes, that might be what happened.
Definitely one of my favorite characters. What a badass. Amazing. Word.
Hang on. I've got to do my MVP first.
Yes, you do.
Because I was so on board with Sally.
However,
I don't like to pick the same person as you if I've got any other option.
Really? I didn't know we weren't allowed to agree.
We're allowed to. And sometimes I do, and I will. But in this case...
You look for someone else?
In this case, I do have a soft spot for the signalman who 2 nights in a row, if it is the same man,
I think
saw a ghost, picked up a crowbar and just started swinging.
Fair enough.
For 2 hours! Bless him. Bless his heart.
Bless his...
That's the spirit. There is a spirit. There is a certain Irish spirit between Sally and this signalman. Faced with adversity, just went down swinging.
I can really imagine a drunkard with a crowbar, with a hip flask, doing whiskey shots in the middle of the night and trying to hit a ghost with a crowbar for 2 hours. I can genuinely imagine that. Look, good choice.
Hang on, there you go. What do you reckon? Who lasted longer, the signalman or Sally?
I'm going to say Sally. I mean, I'm biased. She is my favourite.
I don't think it says how long Sally and her family were defending the home.
I'm going to say a long siege.
Yeah.
Muskets take a long time to reload. I mean,
they do, but when there's 3 of them.
I'm probably wrong. I'd like to think Sally, but probably the signalman.
Yeah.
Either way, we're picking the people with the weapon.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, word award. It's tough. There wasn't a lot of particularly fancy language tonight.
No.
If you had one in mind, go for it, but I'm happy to just scrub it.
I think I might even go with the last name if that's allowed. So my favourite word would be McKay. I think McKay, yeah. I thought it was interesting the large amount of family that they referenced, and I think it's an interesting last name. And we haven't had any rules around not using that, so I'm going to say McKay.
Yeah, fair. I'm going to go with tumult.
Tumult?
Yeah, it's a word that I did know ahead of time, but I do enjoy its inclusion here. It just kind of gets across the sort of noisy, rowdy chaos that might be happening by ghosts on an Irish countryside.
I would say elephant gun, but that was my word.
Yeah.
It's technically in the story.
No, and it's 2 words, otherwise, I can't go for elephant gun too. Anyway, I think that's us for the night, and who the heck knows what's going to happen next fortnight on Second-Hand Haunting. This week's story from True Irish Ghost Stories by John Seymour and Harry Neligan. Episode edited by Callum Patrick for the Peas in a Podcast Network.